How's it going, gods and goddesses? Today we are going to be talking about marijuana and how marijuana can affect spiritual growth. It can affect spiritual expansion. This is not a hate towards the sacred plant, but actually more of an invitation to be more intentional and to love this plant, and to, when you're using it with an actual use of it and not using it to just disconnect. So just to start, Kabbalistically, in our life, we experience discomfort. When we experience discomfort, that is a sole indication of where we need to expand. But when we are using marijuana constantly and we're using it in the moments of discomfort, it is actually stopping or blocking the one indicator that will help us expand. Something like marijuana is a very sacred tool. It is a very spiritual tool. And when you're first consuming it without a tolerance, it can be very profound. The vibratory states, it could bring you to these different realms, these different thoughts of consciousness. It is almost like a portal to higher spirituality. But when you day in and day out use marijuana, it is no longer that portal or that sacred tool. It is more of like this cofactor in our lives to be helping us, getting us through. So I believe something like marijuana, it is very sacred. And when you use it intentionally, it could be used as a spiritual tool. But when we use it every single day, it actually affects us from doing our own spiritual work. Kabbalistically, it talks about how when you're constantly using something like marijuana, you're almost overdrawing light, which is gaining light or energy from something outside of our souls. And when we, especially in the spiritual community, are constantly grasping for this marijuana, thinking it is a part of helping us with presence, I believe it actually takes us away from presence. It actually mutes our mind, mutes our days in ways that stop us from learning how to do it ourselves. Another thing with marijuana is that we are energy bodies, and the plant is a vibratory plant. And when you are constantly consuming this vibratory plant, it is causing your energetic vessel to vibrate at the same frequency of the plant, which can be very profound every now and then. But when you are constantly vibrating with the plant of marijuana, you are never giving your energy body, your vessel, a chance to feel any other frequencies. You're not giving it a chance to experience a higher frequency than the plant, but you're also not giving yourself a chance to experience a vibration lower than marijuana to see where you need to mingle through and expand through on your own. Hinduism also talks about marijuana, where marijuana can be very powerful. Shiva smoked marijuana. He used marijuana to connect with God or the Creator. But gurus or yogis like Yogananda talk about that any too hard of an earthly attachment to something stops you from the supreme joy. Our attachment and our dependency to things like, especially a sacred medicine like marijuana, is actually almost like a jail. It is like an enslavement, and it keeps us bound to this physical earth. When we feel like we need something or we need it for our everyday experience, we are blocking 5D or eternal joy because we're relying on things to give us 3D joy. And I've experienced this on my own with marijuana a lot. Something that used to be so profound to me turned into this everyday use. Things that I would use to watch a movie or I would use to get inspiration. I started relying on this plant in more ways than it should have been. It felt like, I was best friends with marijuana, but I feel like on a more spiritual level, I was actually disrespecting this plant in a lot of ways. I was using it, I had built a tolerance, and then you need more of it and you're using it more often. When you get the free moments in life, you are reaching for this plant, which can cause a lot of that unintentional use, which I believe creates a lot of disconnect in our lives, and especially between our vessel and with the medicine itself. People like to call marijuana a medicine. And don't get me wrong, I believe it's a very powerful medicine for people who, especially when they need it. Working with different cancers and different illnesses, marijuana can be very powerful, and people can be prescribed it for everyday use. But I'm more talking about the people looking for the spiritual growth with this. Is that, yes, it can be a medicine, and it can help move stuck energies within your mind or mental space. But if you're using marijuana every day, and you never get off of the medicine, it is no longer a medicine. Because with any medicine, you don't use it for the rest of your life unless you actually need to. And a lot of us are using it without really needing to be using this medicinal marijuana. We all call it medicinal, and we all want to use it. But it is not inviting us to experience life without it, which can block a lot of miracles and blessings, or us even noticing these evolutionary things in our life because we're so attached to it. I, in my life, love marijuana, and I actually believe stepping away from it has invited more love for it, because I realize that the beauty it holds, stepping away from it, stepping outside the box, realizing how attached I was to a substance like this, and how much I was blocking for myself being so into using it. So think about it. If you're an everyday marijuana user, think about the times where you're using it with intention, and think about the times you're being very unintentional with it. This is not a hate towards anything to do with this plant, and I don't believe it's a drug. I believe it's a sacred wisdom. And I believe this video is a call to ask everybody, including myself, to use more intention, especially with these sacred medicines. They're very powerful, and they can be very addicting, sort of say, with the experience that it can provide for us. But if you're constantly using this plant for your everyday experience, it can actually do more harm than good. So that is what I have to leave with this idea of marijuana. Is I'm not saying don't use it, but I'm saying use it with more intention. See how you feel without it, and if it causes or it disrupts your feelings, the idea of stepping away from it, like what the Hindus say, maybe we're too attached to it. So work on your detachment with the medicine, and work on it to step away from it, to invite it back into your life with more presence and intention. I pray for all of us to stay blessed, to stay sacred, and to constantly grow our souls and unfold into the most beautiful, desirous life that we all look for. Use this earth and its sacred medicines with the most intention, and you will receive the most wisdom from it back. I wish all of you the most blessed and safe lives, and I'll see you in the next video.